We finally got our answer. Turns out, the Cleveland Browns aren't racist, Shedeur Sanders is just bad. Alright, there's a little more to it than that, but after replacing Dillon Gabriel at halftime, he completed just 4 of 16 passes for 47 yards and an interception. Definitely not the way he drew it up. But what was maybe more interesting than what actually happened on the field was the discourse surrounding it. Hardcore defenders of Sanders aren't the most measured bunch. Anyone that makes their entire personality on social media about the success or failure of an athlete are usually people you want to avoid. These are cult members and they cannot be reasoned with. One piece of dogma was this 3rd and 10 pass that Josina Anderson was quick to call an against all odds completion and conversion, which ignores the fact Judy caught this ball 7 yards behind the sticks. She's apparently a senior NFL insider, and I guess her new beat is shitposting about Shedeur for engagement. Well, congratulations, Josina. I took the bait. But the annoying part about these kinds of posts is it takes away from what Sanders actually did here. It was one of the few times we saw Sanders drop back, feel the blitz, and then snap his head to the open receiver to give his guy a chance, against bad odds to be fair, to get the first. This is good. But the glaring issue here is how he drifts to the left in the pocket when he doesn't need to. It reminds me of Justin Fields. Rarely is there a true top of a drop back, as Sanders often shuffles around and gets off his spot. The other loud bit of discourse that went around was that Sanders was thrown to the wolves by getting no reps with the first team offense leading into the game. Cult members see this as yet another instance of the Browns sabotaging the quarterback they drafted. This type of criticism is frustrating because it's usually made without knowledge of how NFL teams prepare the quarterbacks on their roster. And for the record, past quarterbacks sounded off saying this was very normal. Head coach Kevin Stefanski was asked about it post-game and essentially said they try to get all of the guys prepared, but when your starter is also a rookie, he will and probably should get the bulk of the reps with the first team. Like Dillon Gabriel, JJ McCarthy has also been a disappointment in Minnesota, and yet, there's no outrage over which reps rookie Max Brosmer is getting as QB2. Although now I'm realizing it might up my Twitter engagement if I became a Brosmer bro. And I do get that it's not a perfect comparison. The Browns are in the midst of a lost season, and Sanders came out of college with much more fanfare than Brosmer did, but the point remains. Any conversation surrounding Shedeur is extremely volatile, and most are only loosely based on reality. Like, just imagine how different Monday morning would have looked had Sanders actually connected with Gage Larvadan on this last-minute heave to potentially tie or win the game. It was one of Sanders' best passes of the night, launching a near-perfectly placed ball with Roquan Smith bearing down on him.
As a take show, we needed Shedeur to win that game.
Yeah, you need him to do something crazy.
The discourse would have been unbelievable.
Incredible. Like, you're hiding this guy?
Until we get an actual sample size from Shedeur, there will be no end to this kind of discourse. And even then, we'll probably get some strong takes in all directions. It's obviously going to take more than one half of football to get a capital A answer on who Sanders will be as a quarterback, but I think we can answer a more immediate question right now. Should Cleveland stick with Gabriel or let Sanders man the ship going forward? If Stefanski had his way, Gabriel would be back out there next week, but thanks to concussion protocol, that won't be possible. And while I obviously don't wish for Gabriel to be hurt, I think the fact Shedeur will have to stay in as QB1 going forward is a blessing in disguise. In limited snaps to compare, Gabriel does seem to have a better control of the offense and gets the ball out quickly, but he's also ultra conservative, holding the league's lowest average depth of target and fewest yards per attempt. The unit has been worse with him than it was with Flacco, and this would all be easier to stomach if he was improving, but he stayed stagnant if not regressed through his first 6 starts. If you did a blind resume test between the two guys versus Baltimore, I think everyone would choose Gabriel's half over Sanders, but at 2-8, the Browns are all but dead, and it's clear Gabriel is more hanging on for dear life than he's lifting up any part of this offense. The obvious decision here should be to throw in Sanders after a full week of preparation and see what you've got. And I get that you'd prefer to not play quarterback roulette with 7 games left in the season, but how much does that really matter? Like, there's no real offense to disrupt here. And honestly, I think you run a greater risk of having the team quit if you keep trotting out Dillon. And if Shedeur really does suck this bad, then just go back to Gabriel, or fuck it, I don't know, throw Bailey Zappi in there, who cares? At the very least, it'd be nice to see Sanders take some shots downfield and maybe, just maybe, move the ball. His best completion of the night, a 25-yard strike to Harold Fannin with just over 2 minutes left, was more exciting than just about anything we've gotten out of Gabriel in his 184 attempts. Here, Sanders stands patient in the pocket and just rips one to the tight end right as he's making his break to the middle and finding space in Baltimore's cover 3 zone. It was the most encouraging snap of the whole night. Even after getting sacked twice and hit 6 more times, he showed a lot of toughness making this play from the pocket. Cleveland's final possession of the game was when he was at his best, and I think it's awesome to hear just how confident he felt coming into this situation despite having a really rough night up to that point. There's something there, it's just how big of a something is it? And I think that's the main question the Browns should be trying to answer right now, not if Gabriel can show marginal improvement to end the year. But confidence and one good completion won't be enough to make Sanders into a starting caliber quarterback in the NFL. And that's the bigger question to figure out this year. Can Shedeur win the chance to compete for QB1 in Cleveland next offseason? The number one thing he needs to clean up is just working more within the offensive system and rhythm. Be more of a gear in the machine rather than a squeaky wheel. Let's talk about this 14-yard sack he took with about 2 minutes left in the third quarter. It's 3rd and 6, and Cleveland's trying to get something going after their defense just saved the game by answering Shedeur's pick on their last possession with an interception of their own. Shedeur will target the left side of the field where Jeudy and David Njoku are running out routes at different levels. All half, the Ravens did a ton of stuff with their pass rush and coverages that made things difficult to assess pre-snap. Here, they're blitzing with the corner and linebacker with man coverage on the back end, and a robber in the middle, taking the place of the blitzer here. There's a ton of stuff for Sanders to suss out here, along with a twisting pass rush that killed the Browns' O-line all half long. But Sanders makes this play tougher on himself with a drifting, out-of-rhythm dropback. By moving to his left, he moves into the pass rusher and removes the option to step up in the pocket, and because his feet aren't right, he can't simplify the read for himself, watching if the defender follows Njoku and then ripping it to Jeudy when he plants. To be clear, this is a tough play to make against a good defense, but there's a better chance to make something happen here and not take a big sack if he locks in more of the stuff before the actual throw. Like we saw in the pass to Fannin earlier, Sanders is capable of making plays from the pocket, but I do think Baltimore's twisting pass rush got into his head and spread to his feet. I thought the interception did a good job of showing him getting burned for trying to trust his feet. Here, we see him take a much better in-time dropback, but again, the Ravens' pass rush confuses the Browns and they get a free lane at Sanders. He gets hit, the pass turns into a lame duck, and becomes an easy pick. At least, I'm hoping the hit affected the pass, because if he was trying to get this to Jeudy, this might have been intercepted anyway. And that's another thing. I'm hoping we can see some of his processing speed up while the rest of him slows down. One thing I notice about really great quarterbacks is how they have some automation to them. Like when they see certain things, it's an automatic pass to the check down to get positive yards. Here's Sanders just taking too long to get to that conclusion on a 1st and 10. To me, it looks like he goes from Cedric Tillman to Jeudy and doesn't like either of them, which I think this is a fine decision. They're both fairly well covered. But then he appears to go back to Tillman and immediately gets spooked by the blitz. He's got Judkins coming out of the backfield into the space vacated by the blitzers. He's got to keep his head up and get it there, especially with all the time he has before taking a hit. Instead, this turns into a lucky incompletion and another knockdown. The stat line looks bad, and there was plenty to be desired of his performance, but there are some tools there. Then again, he didn't always execute well when using them, like how he throws confidently between defenders to Jeudy here, but ultimately dirts the pass. And sometimes he just uses the wrong tools in the wrong moments. He loves to turn his back to the defense to roll out of pressure when there's just no time or space to do that, like using a hammer to fasten a screw. But then in the last minute of the game, he uses that same ability beautifully to get this ball down to the end zone and give Isaiah Bond a chance at it. So, while a lot of it was rough, I don't think Shedeur is hopeless. And hey, he makes the Browns way more bearable to watch, for now at least. Overall, I think you've just got to keep Shedeur in there for a couple weeks at least. Give him full weeks of prep, let him get comfortable, and see if he can take advantage of the moment. I came away less frustrated with the performance re-watching it than I was watching it live. He did do the things that got him benched in the final drive of his last preseason game, like holding the ball too long and making bad plays worse, but it was nice to see someone breathe some life into this team. And I can give him a small pass for the fact he came into the game unexpectedly against a good defense for a team that desperately needs wins. So, let's see what Shedeur's got. Maybe he'll surprise us, maybe he'll be awful, but even in the worst case scenario, you get an idea of what you've got in him, and a better draft pick. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please remember to give it a like if you did enjoy it, and consider subscribing to the channel so you can catch the next one. Thanks, bye.